Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Sports Illustrated beat writer covering the Las Vegas Raiders and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast. Appreciate you all being with us today. Very excited to have my friend Matt Hladik from thespun.com. It is one of the greatest sports aggregate sites that you'll ever find anywhere on the web. It's just a terrific place to get information on every sport, kind of the top headlines and the top fruit of the tree, and it's just a great place. And as I promised you, today we're going to go over um, Matt's Raiders complete 7 round mock draft. So Matt, let's start it out. Round one, the Raiders have several different needs, could go in several different directions. Tom Telesco has positioned himself very well in allowing the Raiders that their pick. You don't know what they're going to do. There's several different angles. So I ask you, based on your information covering the NFL macro league, which is big, and things that you've heard, who do you have the Raiders taking in round one and why?
Like you said, they could go a couple of different ways. I think that when you look at around the different mock drafts out there, the big swing is them taking a quarterback in round one. And while I can't rule out that they wouldn't do that, I think the more likely scenario is they fill the more immediate need, and in a draft that's really loaded on the offensive line. I think they go O-line. I have to take in Taliese Fuaga from Oregon State. Very much a plug-and-play guy at right tackle. Obviously, Jermaine Illuminor signed with the Giants in free agency, so he's not there anymore. Fuaga has, just the ability to step right into that spot. I think it's a very safe pick. I think it's a very smart pick. I think when you are building up your roster with a new regime, head coach, GM, the whole thing, one of the first things you need to get settled, obviously, hopefully you have quarterback, but quarterback and offensive line. And I think this really helps settle a position of need on the offensive line. So I got them going with Taliese Fuaga at 13.
Yeah, that would be a great pick. He's one of the most athletic offensive linemen, which is what they're looking for. And man, he plays with just a side, and he just plays like a Raider, doesn't he?
He does. He does. He's got that nastiness to him. He can maul in a run game. He fits in very, very well with the Raider ethos, especially under Antonio Pierce.
All right, let's go to the second round. What do you have him doing in the second round?
Corner is a major need for the Raiders, and the good thing for them and any other team that are looking for corners is that this is a very good cornerback draft. There's going to be a lot of guys off the board early, but there's a lot of depth into the second and third rounds and beyond. Um, at where they pick in the second round, there's going to be a bunch of different options at corner. I went, and maybe you could laugh, it's a little bit of a homer pick, but I went with somebody that I know well from seeing him play the last few years. I happen to take Max Melton, cornerback out of Rutgers, who played 3 years, I believe 3-year Letterman there. He was a stud for them. Really good pass defender.
Be a good pick.
Yeah, in the run game, work in progress, but in terms of frame, in terms of competitiveness, in terms of, you know, playing the pass, which is paramount in the NFL, he would be, I think, an excellent pick there. He comes from good bloodlines too. His brother Bo's in the league already with the Packers as a receiver. So, and I know a lot of Raider fans may say, well, Rutgers defense was legitimately good last year. That's why they made a bowl game. So this kid can play.
I agree with you. No argument for me. All right, let's go to round three.
This is where I have things getting interesting because, again, like I said, we could see the Raiders take a quarterback in round one. I'm not projecting it, but I do think they leave the draft with a quarterback. So, with that being the case, this is where I have them taking one. I got them going with Spencer Rattler, who 2-3 years ago people were thinking would be the number one pick in either the 2022 draft or the 2023 draft. Maybe he had that high of a reputation early on, his coming out of high school and early on in his career at Oklahoma before he got replaced by Caleb Williams, and then he kind of had to reboot himself at South Carolina. He's raw, he's talented. There's mixed opinions on him, but I think if you're taking a chance on a quarterback outside of the first round, I would rather, this is just my philosophy, I would rather take a little bit bigger swing on somebody who has traits to be a stud, even if it misses, as opposed to taking, a safer quarterback in the middle rounds that, you're kind of limited on what they could become. So I think Spencer Rattler fits there.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, you are right. There are some people that have concerns around the NFL, but uh, absolutely killed it in the interviews, killed it physically, and the best drafters in the league always tell me if you're going to swing, you swing in the third round or lower, and that's where you want to take. I'd rather take a swing in the third round than a swing in the first round.
Agreed.
All right, so let's go to the fourth round. Tell me what you got the Raiders doing. What are the Silver and Black adding if you are the GM in round 4?
I went back and forth on whether they take this player in the fourth round or the guy that I have them taking in the fifth round, who I could also see them taking in the fourth round, but we'll get to him next. So in the fourth round here, I have the Raiders going back for some offensive line help, trying to shore up the interior line now. I have them taking a guy with a lot of experience out of the Big Ten, and Zach Zinter from Michigan, who played a ton of football, a little bit older prospect, but a guy who is not going to be intimidated by going up against top competition. Has obviously there's a little bit of concern there, not just with the age. And I apologize, I'm looking at my notes just to make sure, like you do, so I don't screw something up. But also, health wise, how's he going to be? But I think that he fits well in there, and I think he fits well in what the Raiders are trying to build.
Yeah, I think he'd be an excellent pick, and I think he's a guy that you could absolutely see starting.
Yes, I
at
think
some, you grab a fourth rounder and look at them with a potential starting, within a 2-year window, 3-year at the most. I think that's a big one. All right, when we head to the fifth round, what do you got the Silver and Black doing in the fifth round, man?
This is someone who I believe they like, and I could see them having to go up a round or so earlier to get him. But I have him in my mock in the fifth round, and that's Ray Davis, the running back out of Kentucky. Kentucky's produced some really good running backs the last few years, and Ray Davis was arguably the best one. I mean, he had a monster 2023 season. I think that when you look at what he will be able to do as a rookie, he steps in. There's no need for him to be the guy. So he goes into, that running back by committee, plays a little bit behind Zamir White. Maybe he works his way into some third down duty, depending on how he evolves as a pass blocker, let alone pass catcher. But he's somebody who fits well into a running back by committee. And I think that it would be this the type of pick, you're early enough on day 3, good time to take a running back. And if you can get him there, I think it would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I had him described to me by one scout as a poor man's Josh Jacobs. He's not the best pass catcher yet, which neither was Josh when he came out of Alabama, but he runs tough, and he's a tough runner, and he's not afraid to go get yak with some contact. I think that would be a great pick. All right, let's move to the 6th round. What do you got going on there, Matt?
I think when you get to this point in the draft, you're either taking some, big swings, or you're doubling up on depth at positions of need. So I have the Raiders going with another tackle. I have them taking Walter Rouse out of Oklahoma. I think that he would be a guy who you could potentially have developed and would be someone as insurance behind Talise Fuaga, Colton Miller, and you don't have to really rush him along. You could bring him along a little bit slower pace, and he can eventually potentially be a contributor for you. So I think that when you go into the 6th round and you're getting a lineman, you're not expecting them to be a starter. You're maybe not even expecting the pick to be a massive pick right away, but you take somebody that has some traits and has some developmental ability, and you go with them.
All right, let's go to the 6th round. What do you got going on there?
How many picks do we have left? We have 2, right? I want to make sure I have the right thing.
I'm sorry, 7th round. I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought I messed something up. Sorry, I wanted to make sure.
You just had him taking the Oklahoma tackle in the 6th round.
6th round, yes. So now we got the 2 7th round picks, right?
I apologize about that.
No, it's all good. I totally. It's all good. Here I had them going in the 7th round. I have 2 defensive backs. The first one I go with, I have Trey Taylor out of Air Force. He's a safety. He's a guy that they can put in on special teams. You know, you're getting a high character guy from one of the service academies. Maybe he works his way up into the safety rotation. But this is a guy that when you're going 7th round, you're thinking, who's going to be a special teams contributor? Who's going to be a guy that adds to the backbone of the team and can maybe develop? And I think that he would be a good fit there. Plus, safety is not a major position in need for the Raiders, but it is something that they'll probably look to lead the draft with at least one of them. So I think that fits here.
All right. And who's the other 7th round pick? You said 2 defensive backs.
The other 7th round pick, I have them going with last year in the draft. They took Jacorian Bennett. Was that 2 years ago or last year?
Last year.
Last year. Okay, I want to make sure because the time flies. Last year, they took Jacorian Bennett, corner out of Maryland. I have them going back in Maryland. I have them taking Tarheeb Still, who would be, again, this is the type of pick that they need corners. They already got one earlier in the draft with Max Milton in the 2nd round. This is where they double up a corner. Young guy, really came on strong towards the end of his tenure at Maryland. And I think his best football could be ahead of him. So he's projected as probably a 7th round pick, 6th, 7th round pick on most of the draft evaluation sites. I think this would be a good spot for the Raiders to get him and add him to the mix there.
Wow. No defensive lineman. I think they could go defensive lineman in round 1 if Fuaga or a couple others aren't there. That surprises me. That's an interesting board for you, Matt. I really, really appreciate it. Is it hard for you to believe? I mean, next week we will be really digging in all draft, the latest rumors, what we're hearing. Is it hard for you to believe? It seems like the season just ended.
It is. It's crazy. And I will add that I had them doubling up in a couple spots there. You could definitely see a defensive lineman or another position there. Maybe my approach, that was my approach there. I'm not sure what Tom Telesco would do.
Listen, I wasn't being critical. I wanted your approach.
No, I know. And I know that defensive line is something that they're looking to bolster up as well. So, but I think that this is a draft where they would hit on a bunch of different positions of need. And getting back to the point you just made, I can't believe that it's not just draft season, it's almost draft week, and it flies, man. It's crazy.
I totally agree. Matt will be back with us next week where we'll really dig in more on the draft, on the latest rumors and thoughts and things that we're hearing, and it'll be a good one. Remember, Matt, tell them where to find you on X.
You can find me on X at Matt Hladik 919, MATTHLADIK 919. And I got a bunch of different new Raider fan followers over the last few months, and I'm always welcoming more for the season and into the season. So find me over there.
All right. And remember, you can also find me when you go to Instagram at Hondo SR, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Hondo Carpenter. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.